Okay, first off, just in case we hear a bunch of background noise, my son has a couple of friends over playing, so hopefully we don't end up with anything too crazy. So we are going to start with 2 pieces of chipboard 12 by 12. Easy enough, right? You don't have to cut anything, you're good to go. You will then need 8 pieces that are 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. I have covered one piece already, and you're going to see, and this is where I've gotten really crazy with the glue, it's okay. You're going to have seams, okay? In the end, once we've matted everything, you're not going to see these, it's not going to matter. So it may not look wonderful right now, it'll be fine in the end, okay? I'm going to set that one aside for right now. I've got my other piece prepped and ready to go, so let's go ahead and get score tape backing off of this one. All right, so we're going to take our templates, just like we always do, our 1-inch templates. And I'm going to slide one of my 7 1/4 by 7 1/4 pieces in. Okay, I am not going to put this all the way down because it's going to stick to your board. It's going to stick where you don't want it to stick. So all I'm doing is keeping this up on its edge, getting that corner in there, and just pushing it down in that top corner only so that we're picking up that sheet, because you'll see that sheet isn't all the way down, okay? And then we'll put it down. Okay, I'm going to do this again, just like we did before. Got a weird chipboard there. Okay. So again, I'm just going into that corner, getting it lined up, pushing that corner down. So this is still loose, and then putting it down. Okay. Do it again. Okay. Push our corner in. Okay. And this time, since we've got everything down, you could put it more like all the way down. It's of course bigger than your scoreboard, so that's not going to totally work, but you get the basic idea. Okay. So now I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to burnish these down. So you may be wondering, okay, all of these overlaps, we didn't do any kind of adhesive there. So we've got about 1/4 of an inch everywhere that these squares overlap. For right now, we're not going to do anything to them. The first album that I did, it was the oversized album like this. And I didn't go 12 by 12, I did 12 by 6. And it was my first time doing it this way. And you can see, oh, maybe you can't, maybe I fixed it well enough that you can't tell, where I had it overlap right here, and I had done adhesive underneath, it cracked. Or was it on this one? Maybe it was on my big folio. One of them, putting adhesive under these overlap pieces, when you go to wrap it, it did cause it to crack because it was just too much pressure, which, considering what it takes to cause the artisan cardstock to crack, it's a big deal. So we're not going to do anything with that, because once we get this wrapped on this, where it wraps around at the sides, it's going to be tight enough, it's not going to matter. And you can come back in here after you've got it wrapped all the way with your glue with that little tip, and just put a little bit of glue in there and just press those down. You don't even necessarily need to do that, because you're going to mat over this entire thing. You're not going to see these little loose edges underneath here, okay? So we're going to do like we always do with this wrap method. We'll use our chipboard to bend there's my bone folder. Fold and burnish. And again, fold and burnish. And again. And again. There we go. Okay. So we're going to come in here like we always do, and we're going to cut out the square on that corner, just like always. I'm going to do that all the way around. And the reason I already have one wrapped is I was just testing to make sure this was going to work the way I hoped it was going to work, because we did increase the size by so much. And in doing so, discovered I had too much of an overlap here, so I actually had to kind of size this one down a little. It's fine. Okay, so we're going to check our corners. If we have anything overlapping that shouldn't, or sorry, not overlapping, hanging over that shouldn't, we're going to go ahead and trim those. Right there. Just a tiny bit there. Here, there. All right, so I'm going to get my 1/4 inch score tape. I'm going to go all the way around the chipboard, just like normal. And then we're going to have our one difference in how we wrap. What you're going to do on the cardstock is I'm going to put my adhesive down to where, just on that top piece. Okay, I'm going to kind of move that out of the way, and then I'm going to do the piece underneath. Because when we go to wrap this, we're going to wrap and adhere that part down, and then we'll do the other part. Okay? We could do both at the same time, but this way we know we're getting a good tight fit when we get those folded down. And because we don't have any adhesive under there in that section right there, it's not gonna crack. Which, I mean, okay, I shouldn't say crack. Artisan doesn't really crack, even when you've over burnished or wrapped it too tightly or something like that. It doesn't really crack. It just kind of, how do I even explain it? It just kind of gets little crazy pieces that, because it doesn't really crack, it's like a top layer kind of pops up. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe that's cracking. I don't know. Okay. All right, so got all those. I'm just going to burnish them down. Okay, and I'm going to put my little hook thingy. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, remove the score tape from the chipboard. The sides we will do as we get to them. We're not going to remove all of those yet. But we do need it off of the chipboard because you're going to have where it's of course going to overlap in places as you fold. Okay? So let's start on this end here. I'm going to go ahead and pull my score tape up. It's backing up. I turn it sideways. And then I'm going to go along here just like normal. And in that space in between, take my bone folder. And I'm going to work that piece up like we always do, and then over and down. Okay? Then we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. If you wanted to do them together, you can. I found that it does wrap better if you do them separately. Okay? And there we go. See how that's tight? It holds that down. You don't need adhesive under that section. Okay. Back on this side. I'm going to do the other opposite side now. Okay, and again on the next side. Hold on, I heard somebody at the front door. Hopefully my husband's going up to answer it, because I'm betting it's the boy's mom. But yeah, I hear my husband yelling. They're out there watching Zootopia or something. But that's why I got to finally record, because my husband's been down here playing video games, and it sounds like I'm crafting in a war zone because he's playing Call of Duty. So I am taking my chance to record while I can. Okay. On our last side, down. Well, I still hear them, so maybe not. Maybe it's... Yeah, maybe it was another kid. I don't know. I might have half the neighborhood out here, and I don't even know yet. Alright, so you'll see on your edges, it's going to be nice and tight. This little section in here, not as much, but literally all you need to do is just get your glue tip in there, and then now you hear the chaos. Recording. Oh my god, I don't know what they're doing. I apparently have a house full of boys now. So, yay me! Alright. Oh, Lord. Alright, so, got your covers. Let's do our spine. So our spine is 1.5 by 12. We're going to do the same process with this that we did with our other. We're going to do our 1-inch template at the top. We're going to do our 1.5 on the side. Okay. Go ahead and get my backing off my score tape. Okay. And then we're going to flip it over and do the other end. And don't ask me how. I think my 1.5-inch template's actually off. So I always end up with it like wonky on this part, and I don't know why. But that's okay. It ultimately is not going to matter. Okay. So we're going to fold and burnish. So because this is our spine, we're going to cut out our triangle instead of the square. I'll grab my 1/4 inch. Get it on my oh, God help me, they found the fart gun from Despicable Me. I thought I got rid of it. But they're boys, so who knows. Alright, anyway. Hopefully you aren't hearing as much of the background noise as I am. And if you are, I sincerely apologize. But that's okay.
Hey!
Hi! Okay then, look what you found.
Now don't float in there.
Okay, there's no way you didn't hear that. Oh my God. Okay. This is my son's friend's baby brother who's like 3.5, maybe 4. I'm not even sure. But he came back to the house with him, and I'm like, all right, knock yourself out. You guys are having a good time. Oh, good Lord. Okay. So we're just gluing and folding. Oh, I probably should edit that all out when I'm done. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to leave it. All right, so we've got that, except it's not burnished down enough. And yes, it is still hanging loose here. Once we attach everything, again, you're not going to see that. It's not going to matter. Okay, so up here you can miter this if you've got a little bit of a bump where it's kind of sticking up. Go ahead and miter those. Okay. And then we are going to take, I'm actually going to use 3/8 score tape instead of the 1/4 inch. Just have to make sure I'm grabbing the right one. I'm going to go down the outside here. And since my edges are a little uneven, we'll just adjust accordingly. It's okay. But you're going to go down your edges. And then, I forgot to do this step, we are going to burnish along the side of our chipboard. Just when you're doing this, when you're coming back up, make sure you're watching for that little space where it overlaps so that you're not accidentally tearing that part. Ah, it was not their mother. It was the other little boy from up the street, who will probably be mad that my son has another friend over and he'll go home. Because that's what he does. He does not like to share Nick. And that's okay. Alright, we're going to fold that one more time just to get that good and worked. We are going to get our score tape off of here, our backing off of our score tape, that is. We're going to grab one of our covers and have it ready and waiting. And then we are going to go in between with our glue. And just a tiny bit up there. Not all the way up there because that's not where it's supposed to go. Again, you're going to mat, so it's not going to matter. Okay, so we're going to lay our cover on top of our spine, so not where our adhesive is, up on the very top, using my finger as a guide to keep it lined up there at the top. I am going to pull this out until I feel it drop off the edge of that chipboard, and then I'm going to push it down. And I'm going to flip over and I'm going to burnish. So when I'm pushing along here where they meet, all I am doing is pushing this piece of chipboard down next to the cover. Okay. So let's put our other side on. Okay. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to lay it down on top. We're going to push it over until we feel it drop off the edge of that chipboard and then down. Over again and burnish. All right. So there is your cover for your gigantic album. Okay, the only other thing we need, I apparently didn't cut it. Let me do that. We need one piece, 6 inches by 11 7/8. That's going to come in here and reinforce. And I don't know where I thought I had a score tape sheet out here waiting for this, but apparently I don't. So we're going to get out the monster roll and do it this way, and that's fine. Perhaps I will send the fart gun home with Corbin. Except then I don't think his mother will ever speak to me again. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and prep this. And with this, I really do prefer to use all score tape and no glue just because I know it's going to go down. It's not going to bubble. All right. So there's that. Pick it up. We'll just go down the center with the 1 inch. Okay. Alright, let's bring this in. I do better with it turned sideways, but whatever works for you. Alright, line this up, top to bottom, side to side, and again, since it's just covering and reinforcing, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to burnish. Okay. And I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to start to fold that up and I'm just going to work that crease. Okay. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to fold and work the crease. All right. There's our cover. All done. Almost. Almost. So the other element, and this part is completely optional, that we're putting on the cover is I am going to do a shaker. And the whole reason, the entire reason that we are doing a book this large is because I want to be able to use this particular piece of paper as whole as I can use it. I don't want to have to decide, do I do this half, do I do this half? I want as much of this on here as I possibly can get. So if I were not doing a shaker, I would go ahead and zip an 1/8 of an inch off of 2 sides of this and put it down and go, voila, there's my cover. I'm not going to do it that simple because it's me, and if you know my tutorials, I'm going to do a shaker. So what we're going to do, and you got a couple of options here. I am actually going to sandwich, at the moment, 2, it may end up being 3, pieces of chipboard that I'm then going to wrap, very much like we've wrapped this, only it will be a single sheet of cardstock instead of the pieced cardstock. Okay? That way, what did you find? What was I saying? Okay. Just to give it a little bit more depth, it's up to you. If you don't want to do the shaker, you don't have to. If you want to do the single layer and then foam tape to get your dimensions, and then, actually, I might do it that way. And then cover that raw edge with twine, which I do quite a bit, and I actually really, really like how that looks. And I think, oh, where's my twine? Hold on. Bear with me for just 1 second. Where's my paper? So, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to make this easy. Okay, so, for your shaker, chipboard, 11.5 by 11.5. You are going to measure in 1 inch on each side and draw a line. You're then going to cut on that 1 inch line so that you have a frame. Okay? I've prepped my frame with chipboard. I'm sorry, score tape. I know what I'm trying to say. And you're going to see this is not going to be a full inch. You're going to get 1/4 of an inch that you're going to wrap up and around on this. It's fine. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and the reason it's fine is because this is the back side and you're not going to see any of that. So I am going to go ahead and pull the backing off, since I did have this pretty much ready to go. And we are going to line it up and put it down. Okay, now, and this is going to be a little bit weird, and you're not going to be able to use your edge to do this. You're going to have to do this with a bone folder. And try not to tear it like I just did, because of course I just did. We want to work that up so that we can get this up and over. Okay? I don't believe I just tore that, but that's okay. We'll work around it. That worked better. I'm going to do it again. So I'm just taking, because I do have the Teflon bone folder that's got kind of a beveled edge there. I'm just getting it up and underneath, and then just dragging that along the edge of that chipboard. Okay. All right, so then we're just going to cut Normally I would do the square. In this case, I am just going to do a cross, just a hair out from the chipboard, because that's going to be too tiny of a space to try to and do the square like we normally would do it. Okay, I'm going to come around here, and again, if this hangs off the edge of the cardstock slightly, it's not going to matter. It's fine. And I think I'm going to do these one at a time. So okay, and then we're going to do, well, maybe we are. There we go, just up against the chipboard. And again, I am just going to use my bone folder, work that up, starting in the middle. I'm going to go over and down. And because that is pretty much all score tape, it should go down really, really easily. Okay, so you'll see we've got our covered edge, and we're going to do the same thing. Actually, I'm going to go opposite corner, or opposite side now. Same thing again. Work that up, and then over it goes. Okay, look at that. That worked really well. Way better than tape. Or, I'm sorry, glue. Okay, so you're going to just come in here, the edge of your bone folder. You're going to push in that little tiny bit at the corner. There's not going to be a whole lot. If you don't, it's not going to be noticeable. But just to make it a cleaner corner, that's what you're going to do. Okay. And again, there's backing off. A little tiny bit of glue in there. Don't get too much, because you get too much glue with your score tape. Even though you can use the two of them together, if you get too much, the glue will get the score tape too wet and it will come off. Okay, so we're going to start in the middle. I'm just going to pull that down. Oh, no, not. There we go. There we go. One little edge that's not perfect here, but you know what? It's not going to matter. We'll get this wrapped, and then we'll deal with this inside section, because that's actually the easy part. Okay. All right. Apparently they're not watching Zootopia anymore. would be my guess. Who knows? It's okay. They're playing. They're having a good time. My son's been grounded for like a month, so. Okay. There we go. All right. So we've got our edges. Now, for the middle. You can do this with or without a ruler. You can freehand this. It's not going to matter because the way we're going to wrap it, you're not going to see any of it. But you're just going to come in here and you're going to cut. Corner to corner. And turn it. And you're going to cut corner to corner the opposite direction. Okay. Man, I didn't cut through hard enough. Oh my god. This is one of those days that I probably just should not even be trying to do this because clearly okay. Now, you may be wondering, why didn't we just cut this part out with our 1-inch border all the way around before we matted it all down? You could probably do that. This works better for me. Okay, so I'm going to start wherever my line is, and I'm just eyeballing about 1 inch down. And we're going to pull that out. Okay, you're going to do that all the way around. Just like that. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to wrap this up and around our chipboard anyway to give it a nice finished edge on the inside. So it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you could really come in here and do this with scissors. I'm just weird. I want to do it this way. Perhaps that is somebody's mother coming to get them. Alright, so again, so I probably need to change the blade in this one. But every time I do, I manage to slice my finger open, so we're not going to do that right now. Alright. Alright, so we're just going to fold. She didn't text me, did she? No. Good. Just making sure I didn't, like, inadvertently ignore a text from the children's mother. Okay. So, we're going to do, like we always do, come around with our score tape. Kids are leaving. That is probably my cue. I need to go cook dinner because we did not eat lunch today. And I bet everybody is starving except me. All right, so let's go ahead and whip off those little tape backings. Clearly wasn't down all the way. That's okay. All right. So, just like normal, glue, glue. Sorry, I need to turn this so I'm working the right direction. And then fold it over, burnish it down. And since this one, sorry, I'm gonna make you guys dizzy turning this, and I apologize. Okay. The only thing, since we aren't measuring these little flap pieces exactly, that you would want to check before you do this is to make sure you haven't cut them too long or they're hanging out over the side of your frame, because that would not be good. All right, so there's our covered frame, except what did I do right there? I did something weird. I don't know. It's okay. Okay, just check your corners, kind of push that cardstock down if it's worked its way up. And there you go, there's your frame. We're going to set our frame to the side for now. And when I come back, we will do our spine and our pages. I'm sorry, our hinge and our pages. All right, so we are going to do our front and back inside cover, and then we'll go ahead and do our pages. So, front inside cover, we're going to do a pocket. So I've got one piece that is 11 by 11. We are going to score this at 4 inches. That doesn't sound right. No, it's because my paper's lined up wrong. Oh my god. Okay, 4 inches. I have another piece that is 6 by 12. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Turn, 1/2 inch. I didn't realize I'm just barely out of frame there. And 1/2 inch. Okay. I'm going to figure out where my scissors disappeared at. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut, miter our corners. Move that. Somewhere I have lost my bone folder. What did I do with it last night? Okay, well, that's really weird. Alright, well, I'm just going to have to use my little scraper tool. I wonder what I did with that. Okay, so sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get these folded over and burnished down. we're going to take our flap, we're going to attach this to our flap. I'm going to start with the bottom. Maybe. I'm beginning to think this is not my day to be doing this, but that's okay. Okay. Put this down. Line it up at the bottom, side to side, etc. Down it goes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do our sides. Finish those down. And then we can go ahead and fold our flap over. I am going to use something on the edges here. I think we're going to do that one. Oops. All right. So before I do this, let me find a scrap and make sure which side I want to use. Okay, so this is the angle corner punch. So we're going to use the large angle on this. Okay. So what we want to do before we get anything else in here, because I want this page to stay pretty much intact, we are going to cut the entire sheet down. That is not a paper trimmer. I'm on a roll already today, can you tell? Okay, so let's go ahead and get that branded strip off of there first. And since our cover is 12 by 12, we want this to be 11 7/8 to start before we start doing any other trimming. By 11 7/8. Okay, so this is what we need to look at. If we put this down, okay, there's where it sits. Here's where our pocket sits. Now, if you have more than one sheet, we can make this super easy because you can go ahead and glue this whole thing down, put this down over the top of it, and then cut your mats for the front from another sheet, the second sheet of this, which we could do, but I don't think that's what I'm going to do. So what I am going to do, no, I am going to do that because that's going to be easier. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue this whole sheet down. Okay. All right. And with this one, with this pocket, we're not going to go all the way around on the back with glue. We're just going to go on 3 sides so that we're leaving it open so that you could tuck other photo mats, layouts, what have you, behind it. So I'm going to do just a little bit on the sides and the bottom. Center that up and push it down. All right, so now what I'm going to do is grab another sheet of that paper just as soon as I double check something here. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the branding strip off again. And I should have inked that because I started out inking stuff just like always. And then again, here we are. Okay, so we need to trim this four and 3/4. So I'm going to go to 4 3/4. I'm going to trim that piece off. We're going to hang on to that. Okay, so now we're getting into, I actually need to take just 1/8 of an inch off of this one. Sorry, I hate when I get stuff right on where that little side piece kind of comes out because it's never quite, I'm never quite sure the measurement, so I always end up laying my ruler on top. All right, so there we have that. So now what we're going to do, you need to decide, are you going to mat this on the front of this bottom piece? Are you going to trim it so that you get your bottom and then you put the rest up in there? And I think that's how we're going to do it. And then we can use the back side of this one on the top with the constellations on it because that's way cute. So what we're going to do is go ahead and measure this. So this is 5 1/2, so we're going to go 5 3/8 by 10 7/8. So we're going to do our 5 3/8 first. Do it this way, I think. Yes. 5 3/8. Okay. And then it needs to be 10 7/8. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, we're going to take 1 1/16 off of each side. Okay. And I just totally did that wrong, didn't I? I did. But it's okay because we're going to put it in there like so. Okay, that should not have been 1 1/8 off, or 1 1/16 off the side. It should have been 9/16 off the side, and then 9/16 off the other side. It's okay. We're going to keep it consistent here. And we're going to go, wait a minute. Yes, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. Sorry. Because we're going to put this little strip in here, and then it's going to line up with this. Okay. So I'm going to just make sure that this is where it needs to be. It does need just a hair off that end. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that down, but I am going to ink it since I did ink other stuff in other parts here, because then at least we're somewhat consistent. I say that, I'm going to forget this again the next section we get into. I know how this goes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Okay. Okay. All right, so there is that. For our mat up here, there's supposed to be a magnet under that, because of course there was, so let's forget it like always, because that's what I do. Okay, so we're gonna, thank God it hasn't dried yet. Oh my God, I should just be like not even doing this today. All right, magnets. We'll try this again. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and put backing off of that one. This comes down, how far? It comes down to there, so we'll go about right there. Get our back off of that one. And there we go. And we'll try this again, because such is honestly normal crafting for me. And this is why I don't mat on camera, because this is the type of stuff I do, and I end up having to tear out of the book and fix, and then I edit it and you never know. But that's okay. I caught it before it became too big of a deal, so we're all good. All right, there we go. So now we can go ahead and mat this top. So we're going to go 10 7/8 by 3 7/8. And we can either use the back side of this one, which really we could do it like so, and get, then it says set on cam twice, so no. Okay. I'm actually going to pull a different pattern for this. Not that one, where to go? that. I think I want to do that one on the inside. So we're not going to do that one. That one's not the right size. I need more color than what that has. Again, I'm sure you're now understanding why I don't matte on camera. This is why. It literally takes me, I can build the base of a book in like no time at all. I am very, very slow to matte and decorate. Okay. Now let's put this one over there. So 3 7/8. Try 10 7/8. All right. Let's do this underside first. It is directional. We need to go that way. So we're going to go ahead and do our angle punch on the top. We're going to ink so that I don't forget. Okay, there's that. And get this piece on here. Do we want the dots? I kind of like the dots better. That's what we're going to do. I think the other's too busy. And again, once again, more proof why I don't matte on camera normally. But this may be helpful to some of you that, you know, maybe kind of get stuck with the matting and it takes a long time, and at least now you know you're not alone. Okay. All right, there we go. So that will work because then we can use some of the ephemera or the cut aparts or something on that. And then this is open back behind for a pocket. An additional pocket, that is. All right, so let's move over to our back inside cover. So our back inside cover, and I do have most of this cut, so bear with me for just a second. The back inside cover, we're going to do a waterfall. And we are going to matte the waterfall in such a way that we're keeping this adorable sheet mostly intact. Kind of like what we're doing over here. We're doing the same thing on this side just because there were like 3 or 4 pages in this whole collection that just really spoke to me, and I just could not bear to not get them in here somewhere in their entirety. So for your waterfall, you need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces. These are 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. I'm going to measure just to double check. So this is going to be a nice big waterfall. Yep, 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. Move the book for just a second. So with the 5 3/4 at the top of your scoreboard, you're going to score each one of these at 1/2 inch. I've got to figure out, something is wonky with my camera and I haven't figured out how I had it set. I am in school doing a full-time class load along with a full-time job, and because my school is online, it's primarily kind of self-guided, but there's still testing, and when you test, I have to have a webcam. I knew that just went sideways on me. I have to do it via webcam, and there's only like 2 webcams they'll allow you to use, and this one that I use for this is one of those cameras. So every time I have to test, I have to take this camera down and go take it in the other room and use it for my testing. And every time I bring it back in here, I have the worst time getting it set up right where it's not wonky when I hook it back up, which would be fine, except that there's that bone folder. That's driving me nuts. The last couple of times, I don't know what I have done to my setup in here, but I'm just having a really horrible time getting it hooked back up right again. And of course, I have a second camera on order. However, if any of you have had to try to order a webcam in recent months, they are all back ordered for months on end. So I am not so patiently waiting for my second camera to get here, which I'm actually going to upgrade this one and use this one just for school and then for work meetings, and put the new camera in here to actually do my tutorials. So, all right. So here's our waterfall. What we're going to do, we are going to mat this before we put these down. So I do have the mats for this part pre-cut, ready to go. Let me grab that. So our top one is going to get this big piece that says Camp Brown Bear. And then each one of these, and this is, again, just a way to conserve on paper. If you're ever doing a book and you've got a waterfall and you're running low on paper, save it to mat until the very end, and you don't have to mat that entire sheet. All you need to do is just that little edge that you see. At the bottom of the waterfall pages. So, and I'm sure most of you know that, but just in case you've never really thought about it, because quite honestly, until I followed somebody else's tutorial where they did that, I really, truly had never thought about it, and I was like, oh, that actually works really well. Why haven't I done that until now? Because I think we all kind of do that. You get in a rut of doing things one way, and you don't think, you know, how can I change this up? How can I do this differently? You know, that kind of thing. So, go ahead and get these all inked. Oops. All right, so we're going to put this one down. Okay, then because I'm going to flip that upside down, and this is going to sound insane, but I did actually number these on the back so I knew where I cut them from. So just to start with, to make sure I'm putting these the right way, I'm going to look at that really quickly. And these are just 1/2 inch strips. This one is 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. And see, when we get the waterfall down, that's the effect you're going to have. Okay? You're going to have that continuation of the paper, which I think the way I ended up cutting this, I don't think, like the first 3 or 4 strips, I don't think are too horribly different, but I numbered them anyway, just to be on the safe side, because I know how this goes. If there is a way for me to screw it up, you are guaranteed that I will find it. There's 3. Okay. Almost there. Yeah, see that one. This was actually, I didn't really need to number these other than, really I didn't need to number them. It's okay. I did that just to make sure I had them lined up right, but where it is just that kind of continuation of the, like the little ledger book, I guess you'd call it. At least that's what it reminds me of, probably because I'm an accountant. But, you know, that way I made sure that they went in the order that I wanted them to go in. Now, here's what we need to look at. Okay, so you're going to have this piece that's going to go down over here, and then you're going to have your waterfall. Okay, we may have a little piece right in here where you're going to see underneath. So all I'm going to do is take one of my scraps, a smaller one, and I'm going to just cut this to 11 5/8. And then I could leave it that width. I think I'm actually going to cut it down to like 2 inches. Just so that we can put this down about there, so that if there's any kind of gap, you're not seeing your chipboard, okay? So I am going to hold that right there. I'm going to get a little adhesive on this end and stick that down. And then I can just kind of fold this back like so and get adhesive everywhere else. And we don't have to get too crazy with this because other stuff is going to go on top of this and hold it down, so it's not going to matter. All right, so let's get our little left side piece down. Okay. This is cut to 11 7/8 by 11 7/8. Okay. And then I'm going to turn this upside down so that I can start putting my waterfall down. Because I have a much easier time doing these when they're turned this way. Okay, so the first one we want to make sure when we line this up that we're continuing lining it up so that this line, and I realize that's going to be hard to see, so let me pick this up, so that this line continues all the way across so that it looks mostly seamless. Okay? And then just continue, because now we've got that first one placed right. We'll just continue to build our waterfall. And I just had a horrible thought. Oh, thank God I did it right. Because I did go ahead and mat the front of this already. And I just had that horrible thought, like, did I just literally put this stuff upside down? But we're good. I'll show you that in just a second. Because that would be par for the course right now, I'm telling you. If I had done that, how would I fix that? Honestly, I'd probably just mat over it. The back of it, bake that the back, mat over it on the other, and mat over it with something else, because yeah, I'm not tearing this all apart and starting over. Okay. All right, so now we have another choice to make. After you have cut, assuming you mat this the same way, after you have cut all of those pieces, you're going to have one little piece that goes down here at the bottom that clearly is not enough to cover this. Okay? Got another piece cut here. We could line this up and cut it so that we get that whole thing. I don't think I want to do it that way. I think I am going to go ahead. I'm going to ink my little leftover piece here, and then we're just going to do a photo mat underneath there. However, before we do that, we do need a closure. So, for our closure, we are going to take this other little scrap. We're going to cut this to 1.5 inches wide. And we are going to make this, how does this come down? Oh, this is going to have to be a long one. So that's going to be 10 inches long. No, let's go 10 1/4. 10 1/4 inches long. Okay. Because we want to put this down before we put that little piece of matting down. Okay, so 1/2 inch. Score at the bottom. And I did not angle my corners on this one because I don't want to on this one. other pockets and things, we can go ahead and do it like we've done this one. I did not want to do it on this one. So in case you're going, did she forget? No, I truly did not want to do it that way. So, okay. Center that up. We're going to go just almost to the bottom. And there we go. And then we'll put this one down, and then we'll measure what our photo mat needs to be. And we're just going to pull out one of the matching solids from this collection and do it with that. Okay. When you go to put this down, make sure you are lining it up. And again, this is assuming that you are following along and using the same paper. If you're using different paper and you're going your own way, then have at it. But if you're using this paper, you want to line up everything from this side to this side. Okay, so we've got 5 1/4. Actually, not quite 5 1/4 because 4 3/4-ish. Because we'll go all the way down to the top of this. We won't leave a gap. By 7 1/8. So let me grab the matching solids. Here somewhere. All right. I think I am going to go with the red on this one. So, I literally just forgot what I said. Okay, so it's about 4 3/4. I'm going to go just a hair over to make sure. And then we'll go 7 1/8. And there we go. Go ahead and ink that. And there we go. All right, so we're going to fold this over. I forgot the magnet again, didn't I? Because of course I did. All right, so I actually will end up putting it on the back side here, and then I probably will just hide that with a sticker of some kind, or ephemera piece, or something along those lines. Because again, this is what happens with me, and that's okay. So I need to go about right there. And there. Okay. Let me grab a piece of score tape. There we go. All right. I will come back later on to mat this. I'm not going to mat that part right now. I'm going to show you, however, what I have done with the cover. So for the cover, I did take the camp, like the cabin sheet. Let me find, hold on, there it is. Okay, so I took that sheet, I cut it down to 11 7/8 by 11 7/8. I then measured in 1 inch from each side and cut out the square, flipped it over, put that print, so that was the border, and then I've got my little cabin on the inside. Here's our frame, okay? I did use 2 layers of foam tape to pop that up. And so that's going to go down like so. So then you've got just that little bit of the border where you can see those little bears in the canoes. And then the acetate that goes on top, I took the summer camp pattern, which this has the little 2x2 cut aparts on the back. Cut that to, I believe it's 10 7/8. How wide is this thing? Hold on. No, I'm sorry, 11 3/8 by 11 3/8. Measured in 1 inch, which I realized this is 1 inch, this is 1 inch. It's going to kind of come over a little bit in the middle. It's fine. To get my opening, and then I did attach my acetate to the back of this. I've got the score tape on there ready for it to go down on here once we finish everything else up, and we put this down on top, we fill it with our shaker elements, and then we'll put this down and then do some other decorating to the front of this. But we're not going to do this part just yet. I've just got it ready to go just so it was there, no problems. What we're going to do next is figure out what pattern we're putting on this little center section. And I think I am going to go with the brown. So our spine is, what is it? 1 3/4. So I'm going to go 1 5/8 on this one. Okay. And then I'm going to go 11 7/8. And that's going to go down on here. And then we're going to do our hinge and our page bases. And I realize you don't really see the inking on this, but because it is a darker paper and it's a heavy paper, when you do cut that, you see just a little bit of like a white edge, especially where it's got a light color on the back. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and ink that one regardless. Okay. All right. Let me make sure I've got everything ready for our pages and our hinge. I'll be right back. Okay, so for our page bases, you need 3 pieces that are 11.5 by 11.5, 3 pieces that are 11.5 by 12. With the 12-inch side at the top of your scoreboard, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. I am going to miter that corner ever so slightly, and then I'm going to fold and burnish. what you're going to do, and you can decide which way you want to do it. If you want to do them so they sit in and this flap goes on the top, that's fine. If you want to do them with that flap on the inside, if you wanted to do any kind of insert, you can do it that way. I think that's how I'm going to do mine because we may end up doing an insert or two. I'm not sure yet. Just because we can do them quite large, and we can actually make them into little layouts, which would be kind of fun. This is the person who literally never makes layouts. Oh my god, I should not be allowed to craft today. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue on my tab. I am going to lay my other half of my page on here, line it up top and bottom, and then push it down. Okay, there is your first page base, and I still managed to get it crooked because of course I did. I think it slipped. Let's try this again. We're going to do glue from down here. There we go. All right. That one's perfect. There we go. Okay, set that to the side. Let's go ahead and do our other two. And I think just because of the size, I think that's why I'm having an issue here. Normally this would not be that hard to do, but all right, here we go. We're going to do it just like we did the second time around with the first page. That way I can guarantee that I am lined up correctly. Okay. Add that with our other page. And let's go ahead and do our last one. All right, we're good. Okay, so for our hinge, Our hinge is going to be 11.5 inches. 11.5 by 3 3/4. Okay, because we only have 3 pages in this. We could have gone bigger. I didn't want to get too crazy with the first time trying to do one this large, so we have 3 pages. So we're doing 1/2 inch hinges. We're doing 3/8 inch gussets. Okay, so we're going to score at 1/2 inch. We're going to score at 1 inch. We're going to score at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, which I actually have this scored, so I'm not actually going to drag it down. So 1 7/8, 2 3/8, 2 3/4, 3 1/8. Okay, so one more time with the 3 3/4 inch side at the top of your board. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 2 3/8, 2 3/4, 3 1/8. 1/8. I can't talk. Okay. And I did actually even write it on the back of this because I wasn't sure if I would remember this because I actually got that much of it done last night. Okay, so we're going to fold and burnish down our first hinge and then go ahead and glue maybe. And burnish that down. Okay. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to fold it up and burnish it down the other direction. Okay. We're going to skip that. We're going to pinch our next 2 1/2 inch tabs or 1/2 inch scored areas together, like so. And so. Okay. And then glue. And burnish back the other way too. There's our first 2 hinges with our 3/8 inch gusset. I cannot say that word. All right, we're going to come over here and do our last 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some glue. And then burnish that down. And then fold it back the other direction. And burnish it again. And there we have our hinge. Little bitty one. I think I did my spine too big. I did. I totally measured that wrong. That's okay. We're going to have good space front and back. It'll be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and add one more page. we're going to just do it better. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Okay, and then I am just going to center this side to side, top to bottom. If you want to measure and center it, by all means, go ahead. I'm just going to eyeball it because, quite honestly, I have better luck doing it that way. I'm going to take my bone folder, I'm just going to burnish it down in between. And give that a minute to dry, and then we'll go through and burnish back and forth. Okay, so give that just a minute. It's art glitter, so it doesn't typically take too horribly long. Fold it over and then really burnish it down. I'll go back our other direction. I can feel it still trying to move on me, but that's okay. Okay. Nope, nope, not down. Okay, let's let that sit for a minute. So with your pages, you can go ahead and put them in the book and then mat and decorate, or you can mat them and then put them in the book and then decorate. It's up to you. I'm kind of on the fence here because part of me wants to just go ahead and get them in here, and part of me is kind of afraid to. So let me get a couple of things together and decide which way I'm going to go, and I'll be back. Okay, so while I could still lay this flat before the pages are in here, I did go ahead and finish my shaker front. There is some decorating I'm going to do, but I do have that down, so, and the spine matted and the back matted, so we've got that much done. We've got our hinge in. We're going to work on our pages. We're actually going to put them in after we have matted them, just because I think it's going to be a little bit easier just because of the size. So, what, Nick?
That's hi.
Yeah, quickly.
Hi.
Okay. All right, so page 1. Okay, so page 1. We are going to do kind of a fun little element. So as we go through this, the front of each page has some element related to camping or summer camp, as you know, the paper. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mat the back, or well, it's not the back, what's going to be underneath on this page. Make sure when you do this, because you've got your page assembly, that the sealed up bottom is at the bottom, so towards you. So the opening is going to be at the top when we put these. It could go on the side, but when we put these in the book, I think I'm actually going to do them with the opening at the top, I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we decide we're going to have an opening. We might change our minds. Okay. So this is, our pages are 11.5 by 11.5, so this is 11 3/8 by 11 3/8. Okay, so our first element, and I don't have, we're going to go ahead and make it. I don't have matting for this yet because I'm not sure how I'm going to mat this, so we're just going to do it and get it built and get it down on our page. So we're going to do a tent. So the first thing we want to do, I have one piece that is 10 3/4 by 8. I am going to use my little Tim Holtz ruler here, and I'm going to find the center point and a pencil because apparently I've lost that. And I'm going to mark my center. Okay. Then I am going to take my paper trimmer. Actually, move that. There we go. And what I'm going to do is where I've got that little center point marked, I'm going to line that up and the bottom corner. Okay. So my center point is marked here. Here is the bottom corner of my paper. Okay. Center point, corner. Okay. Have that lined up. I'm going to cut. And hang on to this because you can use this as a template to cut your matting for the other part when we get to that. Okay. So I'm going to turn it around the other way. Do the same thing as before. Line up the bottom corner. Line up my center point. And cut. Here's the base for our tent. Okay. Now we have two pieces that are 5.5 by 8. And what we are going to do, and this is probably going to seem weird, but stay with me. I'm going to line this up corner to corner. Okay, so corner and corner. And then I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to put it along the 1/2 inch on the trimmer. So here's 1/2 inch. Okay. I'll line my ruler up there. I am going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw a line. Okay. I am then going to line up that line I just drew, and I'm going to cut just on the inside of it. Okay. All right. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. I just lost the pin to my glue bottle again. Ugh, there we go. Okay. So again, I'm going to line up my corners. Put that on the 1/2 inch. Okay. And then we're going to trim just inside that line. And when I say just inside that line, I mean literally barely inside that line. You don't want to get too crazy here. I realize on this color, this is the Denim Artisan, and it's a little bit harder to see, and I apologize. Okay. So now, we're going to take our scoreboard. You're going to put the side that you just cut, so it's got these two weird little angles on it. You're going to put that alongside of your scoreboard. That point at the top should be at 1/2 inch. You're going to score 1/2 inch. So your score mark, if you've measured correctly, should go from this triangle to this triangle. Okay? Do the same thing on the other one. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay, and then we are going to glue that tab onto the back of this triangle. Okay, you'll see right here, it does kind of hang over. All you need to do is take your scissors and trim that little piece that hangs over off. Same thing on the bottom, you're going to have just a tiny, tiny piece that hangs over. Okay, so I am going to go ahead, get glue on my tab. And I'm going to put that underneath. and burnish that down. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to trim that little tiny bit off there. This one, it's tiny, tiny. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Okay, so there is going to be your tent. I love it. You don't even know, this took me like an hour and a half to figure out how to do this and to get it to come out the way I wanted it to. No. Go play. Okay. Kind of odd. There we go. That's better. All right. So this we're going to center up on here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do glue along the bottom and then just a line down the center, because what this is going to do is it's going to give us a pocket on either side of our little tent here. And I'm not going to put it all the way to the bottom of the page. I'm going to put it probably, that's what, about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. And then what we'll end up doing on this is like a little tie closure of some kind. I don't know if I'm going to do like mat it and just have it tie in the center, or if we're going to do like a, what is that even called? Like the policy envelope type tie. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure that out later. And we're just going to do glue right down the middle. And then center it left to right. About 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. And there you go. And there's your tent flaps. There's your tent pocket back there. Let's go ahead and burnish this down. Make sure we got everything good and down. And then we'll come back and do our closure on that. And that's your front page. Okay, on the back, we are doing, this is going to be what we're going to cover the back with. But on the back of this page, I'm just going to slide that out of the way for right now because we need to score some stuff. We're going to do a flap. So this is 11.5 by 5 3/4. Oh, there it is. 11.5 by 5 3/4. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. We're going to go ahead and miter our corners. Okay. I do have all my matting cut for these different little pieces and parts in here. We're going to do a 1/2 page flap that is 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. So this is going to go like so. So with the 6 1/4 at the top, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Miter the corners. And then we're going to go ahead and glue it down on our page. Actually, let's withhold and burnish this one as well. Okay. So the reason we're going to go ahead and check this is because we may need to take just a hair off of this. And that's what it's looking like, is it's just a tiny bit wide. And that's better. Okay. So we can go ahead and glue this. So this flap is going to open towards the center of the book. this right side up, that would help, wouldn't it? Okay. We're going to burnish that down. And then I've got the matting cut for this, so it's going to be, what are these, 5 1/8. So these are 5 1/8 by 5 5/8. So I'm going to put that stripe on this side and put this one down here. I'm going to put like so. And then of course we can come back in after we've got these down. I have ink here somewhere, I swear. There it is. We can come back after we've put these down if we decide to and do photo mats on top. Okay. Oh, is that what I was going to do? I don't remember. No, I'm doing that one up because that's, I don't like that stripe. The other stripe doesn't bother me. Not a fan of that one. So let's decide. That's okay. We'll do that one up. What was I doing? No. Okay. Sorry, I had a plan, like, as I was getting this all figured out prior to dinner tonight. Okay, so we'll go ahead and mat those. Okay, I'm going to do this one. It's just not cooperating. Where did I lose? Okay, so apparently I bumped something and it quit recording and I did not realize it. We were working on the half-page flap here. All we did is mat the back side and attach it to the right side of the page and then put the matting down. Okay, thankfully that's all I missed. I panicked for a minute. I thought we missed this whole front page and I was going to cry. Okay, pockets. You have 3 pieces, 6 1/4 by 3. You're going to score those at 1/2 inch with the 6 1/4 at the top, 1/2 inch on each side. And then we're going to go ahead and miter those over this one. I've got to remember to, after when I start the camera, move the mouse out of the way because all it takes is bumping it just right and ends up stopping it. Okay, so we're going to miter those. We're going to go ahead and fold and burnish, and then we're going to mat. I don't know why that's in here. What was I doing with that? I don't know. I probably had a plan and then it changed. So I'm thinking that's over here by mistake. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to turn these over I'm going to get my matting. And since I'm doing, again, where I'm trying to keep it, you know, somewhat together, I guess, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where these pockets need to go. Okay? So we're going to come in about 1/4 of an inch. You're going to go all the way to the bottom. Okay? And then they're just going to stack like so. All right? So what we're going to do is get glue on the tabs and then just a thin line of glue along the bottom. These are not meant to hold a ton of stuff. And then we're going to come in, oh, I'd say that's probably not quite half an inch from that left-hand side, and put it down. And we could actually spread these out a little bit, and I think I'm going to. Okay, so for our next one, we're going to go about 1/4 of an inch up. And then just line it up so it's even side to side with the pocket below. Okay. Okay, and then again, we're going to do the same thing on our third pocket. All right, and then we can go ahead and ink. Nick, not right now, okay? I know. Not right now. Okay, that's fine. Not right now. All right, make sure them lined up where we want them. And so our matting on these is, I know it's 2 7/8 by 5 1/8. Yes, 2 7/8 by 5 1/8. All right, so there we go. There's page 1. When we come back to do decorating, which I probably am not going to do the decorating with you, I will go through like inserts and things for pages and that kind of thing, but what I'll do is I've got the solids, the matching solids for this, that I'll just come in here and do a couple of photo mats here just because that is kind of a busier print just to break that up, and then probably just do some solid mats on this side, most likely with like the linen artisan cardstock. So there's our first page assembly. Let's go to our second one. And I'm going to pull off the back side stuff, and we're just going to focus on the front. So, again, make sure your bottom is towards you. So this one, and I've got a file in Design Space for this element and the element we're using on the next page. These will cut with the Cricut Joy if you have it, so you don't have to have, if that's all you've got because you bought it for like cards or whatever, it will work with that. So this is going to be our front page element on this one. So we've got a pocket that's going to go down here at the bottom. We've got a flap that's going to go at the top, and we're actually going to do the flap first so that we can get that on there before we put our background paper down. So our flap is going to be 11 by 9 with the 9" at the top of the scoreboard. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. We're going to go ahead and miter our corners. And figure out where I just put the page assembly down at. Be incredibly helpful, wouldn't it? Oh my god. It's been a long day. It's been a long weekend as far as just my apparent brain damage. Okay, so it's going at the top, so I'm going to turn it upside down so I can get it lined up where I want it. This is going to go all the way to the top, and because it is 1/2 inch smaller than the width of our actual page, you just need to center it up at the top of the page. Okay, turn that back around. Now we put down our matting that goes underneath and get that inked. What? No. Go play. Okay, well, not right now.
It's calling me. You're passing through on a train.
Okay. Okay, go play. So, sorry about that. He's got an old video camera of ours, this little flip one that, I don't know, they were out maybe 10 years ago. I was able to get a replacement battery for it. And it'll record up to like 2 hours at a time or something like that. But he goes in there and he records Lego movies. All right. All right, so there's that. Here's our closure. Did I not mat the back side of this? I didn't. That's okay. We can come back and mat the back side of this later. It's not going to matter. Okay. So our matting is going to be 7 7/8 by 10 7/8. I'm sorry, 8 5/8 by 10 7/8. And of course, if you don't have a Cricut and you don't want to cut out the little canoe and then the element that's going on the front of our third page, you can always use cut-aparts, you can use some of the ephemera pieces, whatever you want to do to decorate this and to get our little tuck closure thing that we're going to do. Okay. So now we have a pocket. Our pocket is 12 inches by 4 inches. We're going to score it 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch. We're going to go ahead and miter our bottom corner by cutting off that entire corner. And then we are going to miter our top edges ever so slightly. We're going to fold and burnish. Okay, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and put my mat on here beforehand. So we can either do this or we can do the other side of that. I think it's going to be too busy, so we're going to do just this little blue kind of, I don't know what this is, like kind of almost looks like a quilt pattern, but it's, I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but it's cute, so it's okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put our pocket down here. And I did that too long, didn't I? I did. So it's not going to close the way I want it to. Yes, it will. Never mind. I did too take. Okay, sorry. I'm overthinking myself here. If I were doing it a different way, then yeah, it would have been too long. We're fine. Ignore me. I'm just... It's late. Okay, so we're going to line up side to side there. With a flap up above it. And then go ahead and do our sides. Okay, so then we've got our little canoe. And our little canoe is going to sit down here, like so. And his little oar is going to hang just a tiny bit off the page. That's fine. But we're not going to glue all the way around. We are just going to glue on the sides. And then we're going to run a line along the bottom, because our canoe is basically going to be another pocket on top of our bigger pocket. And then we've got this fun little, and I haven't figured out which cut apart I'm actually going to use yet, so we don't have our cut apart actually cut yet. But this is just 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. We're going to put one of the cut aparts, 4 by 6 cut aparts on here. And that will be our little tuck that's going to hold our pocket closed. Okay, so there's the front of your second page. I'm going to turn this over, and this one's going to be kind of fun. I think you're going to like this. So we've got this strip that's going to go down over here. Okay. We've got this strip that's going to go down over here. And then we're going to have alternating pockets that are going to sit on top. Okay. So we can go ahead and glue both of these down. It's not gonna hurt a thing. And do our other one. And these are both 11 3/8 long. The clouds are 3 inches. The stars are 1 7/8. All right, so first pocket, we've got 12 by 6.5. Squirt 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch. And that actually is going to be just a hair smaller. Because I can tell it's not. Every so often you'll get one of those that's just. All right. So we're going to go ahead and miter. Okay. Set that one aside. One on top is 12 by 4. And again, we're going to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And miter, just like we did with the other one. And in case you're wondering why on those bottom corners I cut across like that, I'll show you. So when we go to fold these 3 sides in and burnish it down, then you don't have, if you have anything overlapping, which you really shouldn't have much overlapping, it's very, very little so you don't end up with this like weirdly bulky corner. Okay? If you just miter it a tiny bit, then you're going to have a lot that's going to overlap. So like this one's about perfect. It does not overlap at all. So, get our big one, get it set up. All right, so here's how this is going to work. One pocket. No, I do need other matting down here, don't I? I think I did my matting wrong. Because of course I did. No, I didn't. I know what I did. I went all the way to that side. No, I did too do it wrong. Of course I did. All right, so what we're going to do in that case is we're going to find something that we can put in the middle here. Let me look through my scraps here. Let me just look because that'll be okay because it's going to end up with most of it covered up. Okay, yeah, that was literally me just not thinking ahead there. So when I was measuring, no, I'm not. I wasn't taking into account my score lines when I measured. Oh, it's fun to be me some days, I'm telling you. Alright, so most of that's going to get covered up, and that's okay. Alright. Okay, so back to where we were. This pocket is going to go down over here. Okay. Let's go ahead and get that one glued down. So we're going to have our opening on this one facing to the left. Okay. The other pocket is going to sit on top, and it's going to have its opening to the right. So, okay. I'm going to put that right out to the very edge. Okay. This, I even cut my mounts wrong. Oh my God, seriously. I am losing my mind, I'm telling you. Okay, so, ugh. So these ended up being 11 inches, so the matting should have been 10 7/8. Not whatever it is that I cut this to, which was way off. And I just cut that one completely wrong. Oh my God. I need to go to bed. I'm telling you. Okay. We're going to do this one. And then I'm going to I'll come back and cut that other one in a bit. Alright, so we'll come back and mat that one after the fact. Because clearly I was not paying attention when I did this part. Okay. Alright, so this one is literally just a strip of the 3x4 cut aparts that I thought looked nice and would be a good fit right here. Maybe. Okay, this is not working for me tonight. There we go. Okay, I clearly have something clogging this up, no matter what I'm trying to do right here. Okay, where's my other glue? This is ridiculous. This one's not going to work either, apparently. It's moments like these, I'm like, why did I stop using the ATG gun again? I mean, I realize, it doesn't stick that well. But at least I didn't have to fight with it like this. Alright, there we go. Alright, so page 2 is done. Page 3 is different. Hope you like this. This is something I have never tried to do before, so we'll see how this ends up working out for us. Get my backside stuff pulled off there. So, got our page lined up the right way. What we're going to do is some acetate flaps. We've got a couple of pockets that are going to sit underneath it, and then we're going to have this cute little fire that's going to be our closure. Okay? So, let's start with our flaps. 2 pieces of acetate, 11.5 by 6 1/4. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch. It is possible to score acetate. You just have to go over it a couple of times. Okay? But it will work. I used this exact acetate to do box cards, where the inner workings of the box card were acetate. Okay? You do have to work it a little bit. It's not going to be like super fast or super easy, but you can get a nice crisp fold on this if you just take your time and burnish. Let's see, there we go. All right, so there's our first one. And I'm going to have to dust that off because that's what happens, but that's okay. We can wipe it off, it will be fine. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on the other one. So again, we're scoring at 1/2 inch. Okay, so as I was traveling this weekend, I actually was thinking about how I had done this page, and I actually have come up with a better way to do the flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the original version in the tutorial, but I'm going to show you really quickly what I think will work better and will make them actually kind of flip a little bit better. And I'm sorry, I think my autofocus is on and it shouldn't be. Okay, there we go. All right, so what you would do, your acetate will be 11.5 long by 5 1/4 instead of 5 3/4. You're going to cut a 1-inch strip of cardstock. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch. You're going to use score tape, and you're going to line this flap up like so that you're creating that little hinge mechanism out of cardstock instead of the acetate. You can do it from the acetate, clearly, because that's what I done here, and that's what I've done on the tutorial, the piece of the tutorial that we'll play after this. But the more I thought about it, I kind of thought, you know, I kind of like this idea better, because then you would put this down just like you would a normal flap. Okay, so you would do 2 pieces 5 1/4 by 11.5, 2 pieces 11.5 by 1 inch that you score at 1/2 inch. You're going to attach those 1-inch pieces, one on each of the acetate pieces, to build your pages, your flaps. And then all you would do is just come in here and you would mat on top of this, like so. And then you would mat on top of, on the inside here, which I've still got my tissue paper on here just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. But then you would also come in on here and you would mat just on that little piece where the score tape used to adhere the acetate to the tab is. You would go ahead and mat on top of that as well. And I think those are going to actually open and close a lot easier than doing the page just out of acetate. Okay. We're just going to work that score line down. Now, if you don't think you can manage the acetate, or you think you're going to have a hard time scoring it because of arthritis, or in my case, carpal tunnel, whatever it may be, you could do a strip of the decorative paper along this side. If you were going to do it that way, you would cut this to 5 3/4. You would cut your decorative piece to, I would say, probably 1 inch, and score it in half, and then adhere it down this side and use that to build your flap. But that is not what I did. So we will continue on with our acetate tab, and that is not my 3/8 score tape. Where is my 3/8? I feel it under there. I thought maybe not. Nope, there it is. It is not in the right place, that's why. Okay, so score tape. You cannot glue acetate. You have to use a good, strong tape, which in this case is, of course, score tape. So we're going to get our score tape on both of these tabs. And then we're going to get both of these tabs on the front page. And this is where I'm saying we're going to have to come back in after and dust these off, and that's totally fine. So I am going to dry fit to make sure I don't need to trim anything off the acetate, to make sure I haven't inadvertently cut one too big. It looks like we are just about perfect. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn this one this way. Just make sure I'm lined up in the right place on this side. And we're good over here as well. Okay. And again. And down. And there are your acetate flaps. Okay, so now we've got, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And they will get better after you've worked them back and forth a little bit. We're going to put this down like so. And then we've got 2 pockets that are going to go on the bottom. Our pockets, God willing, I measured these correctly. I think I did. Okay. Our pockets are 6 3/4 by 5. We are going to, with the 6 3/4 at the top, score it 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch on both. And then we're going to miter. Okay. And part of the idea for this, I don't know how many of you remember them, but Clear Scraps, and I think they might still be around, they might still make albums, I honestly am not sure, used to make all those different shaped, clear, like plexiglass type material albums. I loved those albums. I mean, I can't even tell you. I had a whole bunch of them. I had one that was like a tabbed one that I did for my husband on a deployment once that was just a really fun one. Literally like one of my favorite things back in the day to make albums with. So that's kind of where the idea of this came from. And then two, because I loved this paper with the stars, with the constellations and whatnot on it. It just really was another one of those papers that, like with a lot of this collection, I wanted to keep it as whole as I could, just because I just thought it was a really pretty, fun paper. Okay. So now we're going to come in here. We're going to get that down. And then we'll do our pockets. We're going to glue the bottom of both pockets first, because we're going to fold this back out, and we're going to do score tape on one side, because it is sitting on top of that acetate on that side. Okay? So we're going to fold that down, and that down, and my acetate, or my score tape. I'm going to put that on this little outside part. Get that down. We'll get our backing off of this. And then we'll do glue on either side. Okay, so we can go ahead and that's where it lines up. Okay, get ready to put those down. But before we do that, we are going to add a magnet. So, no, I'm not done.
Is it?
I don't know. We can go ahead and put one side down, but not the other. Okay. We're going to put our magnet on this other side. But before I do that, I need one of my shadow layers for my campfire to kind of figure out where this needs to go. And it's going to go about right there. And then we can put down our other. Make sure so that it's facing the right direction. For crying out loud, this is ridiculous. Okay. Let's get our matting down over here. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go burnish that down. What we're going to do is we have got one side of this. How was I doing this? Hold on. Like that, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to take one side. And I'm going to put score tape on half. If I'd really been thinking about it when I cut this, I would have backed my cardstock with something before I ran it through the what you want to call it. I just did that totally wrong, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay, we're fine. Sorry. I'm confusing myself and I don't mean to. Ooh, not yet. No. Oh, son of a bitch. Alright, there we go. Okay, so let's line this up. There we go. Much better. Okay. So now we can do our magnet. And okay. Okay, let's get this set up. And we're going to do our score tape on half of this again. Make sure I'm lining this up right. Okay. Okay, let's get our backing off of here. And then we will get glue. Apparently we're not. Maybe this one. Okay. like so. And then we will line this up. Over that other shadow layer. Okay, and then we just glue our little fire down on top. Okay. And there you go. There's your acetate flaps. We can come back and do double-sided photo mat. So you do one on this side and mirror it on the back side, attaching them with score tape so that you're not seeing any of that adhesive. But there is that page. So now we are on to our last page. And this one is literally going to be super, super simple. So we have a belly band. Grab my scoreboard. Okay, this is 12 by 5. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Turn it all the way. 1/2 inch again. I'm going to go ahead and miter. And then fold and burnish.
Do you have any camera I can use? Because I'm doing a video, but this is low battery.
No, I don't, because it's almost bedtime. It's 9 o'clock, so time for jammies.
Can you charge this?
I will charge that in a minute, but not right this second. Go put it on my desk.
Upstairs?
My desk.
Where is it?
Across the hall in my office. You know where it is. Somebody's tired. Okay. So this, oh, whoops, not all the way to the bottom. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, I knew I had a plan. What did I do? Did I not cut this right? Oh dear God, I am losing my mind, I'm telling you. Okay, let's try that again too. Oh, ever loving crap. I am just, okay, so 11 3/8 by 11 3/8. I promise, I really do know what I'm doing most days. It's either that or I picked up the wrong thing and I've actually got this sitting here somewhere. And who knows? I may figure it out, I may not. At the moment, I don't care. Okay. So let's try this again. Here we go. So you're going to mat the entire page. 11 3/8, 11 3/8. Okay. Then you're going to do your belly band. Okay. And it's going to be about 1/4 inch from the top, 1/4 inch from the bottom, centered on the page. And then we're going to go ahead and again, I cannot measure because, oh dear God, why? Okay. 7/8. Probably because I had 1,000 interruptions today. So here we are. Okay. Which way was I doing this? I was doing it that way. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get that down. And then we're going to do another belly band on top of that one. I want my trimmer. I want my scoreboard. So this one is 6 inches by 4 inches. With the 6-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Okay. We're going to fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. And then this goes down centered on top. All right. And then I had over here, had another mat. It was the same pattern, which I think is what I was intending on doing. So we're going to go with it. Actually, no, we're not, because I don't want to use that one on there. I know which one I want. Here is, all right, I'll find it here in a minute. I have another one that I know I want there. So, all right, so here we have all 3 of our pages ready to go in our book. Oops. So I'm going to grab the book, bring it back in. We're going to start with the back page. What we're going to do is open this up. We are going to push it all the way in and glue it down. Okay? So you're going to push it all the way up. Hold on, sorry. Okay, there we go. We're going to put it up against that hinge. We're going to go all the way in, and you're going to go all the way to the bottom of that page assembly. Okay? So, what I'm going to do, fold those over. I'm going to get my glue on the back side. Okay. Put this, oops, all the way over. All the way over and down. And burnish that down. And then we're going to fold that up and attach it at the top. Okay, I gotta turn this. I cannot see what I'm doing. All right. And then we're also going to run our glue along the side. To close up that pocket. And then down and burnish. Okay. There's our first page in. We're going to grab our second page. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to open this up. We're going to lay it in here. And fold. Okay. So glue. I can hang on to the glue bottle in a way that makes sense. Okay. In and over. Make sure we're lined up right. We're going to burnish this down. And then up the side. And down we go. Okay. I have to hold that for just a minute there until it grabs. And then one last time with our last page. And again, I'm just going to come in here and make sure I've got it lined up where it needs to be. Okay. Okay. And then all right, down we go. And there's your book. We've just got a little bit of a couple of mats to finish off and some decorating to do. And there you have it. How about that? We have a 12 by 12 handmade album. And there you have it. All right, I'm going to get some inserts cut. I'm going to get finish up a couple of mats and do a little bit of the decorating, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have finished with the front. I did keep it fairly minimal. I've just got the clothesline sticker backed and then fussy cut, and then I took some of my doodlebug twine from my stash and did this little rope on the bottom with these little Tim Holtz pine cones, which I will pick that up so you can see those a little bit better, that are from my stash. I think they were in the Country Craft Creation store last Christmas, and they're adorable. Okay, so inserts. I cut inserts. I cut the 3 that pull out of the pages. These are 10 by 11. I cut 3 of these. I did not mat these because once you mat them and then get pictures on them, they tend to get a little tight. So I didn't mat those. I did 4 mats that are 5 by 7. So these I've just matted on one side with some scraps. I've got 4 mats that are 4x6, and I just used 4x6 cut-aparts on those. And I've got a couple of the 3x4s just kind of tucked in here. I do have 4 and 1/8 by 6 and 1/8, not 4x6. 4 and 1/8 by 6 and 1/8. I've got 3 3x4 that I did turn into little tags. I've got 3 4x4 that I did just to strip on to mat. I did my photo mats here and here. This one that's our tuck, I did mat on both sides with the 4x6 cut-aparts. Got another photo mat there. Photo mats in here. This is loose, so you could tuck something behind it. Here's my 2 other 4x6 cut-aparts matted on the inserts. And then I've got a 5x10 booklet here, and I have not matted the inside of this yet. I don't know that I'm going to. Tuck spots here and here. Those are the 4x6 from the 6x6 paper pad. This booklet that goes in this pocket is 8x8. I have started matting that. I haven't finished it yet. On our acetate flaps, I do have just a couple of the cut-aparts that are put down on this side and then backed on the other side to hide the adhesive. And these are my 2 other 5x7 cut-aparts. And then I've got a 10x10 booklet that goes under that belly band, and then I've got a 4.5x8 that is under the top belly band. Again, just to add some color over here, I've got some more of the little versions of the 4x6 cut-aparts from the 6x6 pad that are just tuck spots here. We've got our waterfall here, and there you go. There's our book. Alright, so I hope you follow along with this tutorial and make your own version of this. I would love to see it. If you do follow along and make this, please share it on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations and on my Facebook page, Scrapping Under the Influence. Thanks!